There is a kind of sadness that doesn't hurt sharply. It doesn't collapse you. It doesn't overwhelm you. It doesn't even feel dramatic. It feels familiar. You wake up and already understand the emotional tone of the day. Nothing surprising will happen inside you. No emotional spikes. No sudden excitement that you have to protect. Just a steady, predictable heaviness. And strangely, that predictability feels calmer than happiness. Because happiness carries a question. Sadness carries an answer. Happiness asks, will this last? Sadness quietly replies, it doesn't have to. Many people don't realize this about themselves. They think they're stuck in negativity. They think they lack motivation. They think they forgot how to enjoy things. But sometimes the mind isn't avoiding joy. It's avoiding the emotional drop that once followed it. And over time, the brain learns something powerful. If you don't rise too high emotionally, you never have to fall far. So the mind chooses a lower, steadier emotional ground, not because it loves pain, but because it trusts predictability. Your brain has one primary goal: regulation. Not happiness, regulation. A regulated system survives better than an excited one. If your emotional history contained repeated cycles like anticipation, hope, connection, sudden change, your mind learned to associate strong positive emotion with later instability. It wasn't one event that taught this. It was pattern, plans that were certain but canceled, closeness that faded without explanation, moments that felt secure but didn't remain that way. Each time, your brain recorded the emotional distance traveled from high expectation to low reality. Large emotional distances feel unsafe to the nervous system. So eventually the mind reduced the distance. Instead of climbing high and dropping low, it stayed closer to the middle or slightly below. This is not depression by default. This is emotional range control, a form of self-stabilization. You're not choosing sadness consciously. Your mind is choosing smaller emotional swings. Because smaller swings mean smaller impact. Hope is not just a positive feeling. Hope is a prediction. It assumes continuation. To feel excited about something, your brain must believe the future will cooperate. But if the future once felt unreliable, hope becomes mentally expensive. Your mind starts calculating, what if this changes? What if it disappears? What if I misread this? So instead of enjoying the present moment, part of your attention monitors its durability. That monitoring creates tension. Sadness, on the other hand, makes no promises. You don't monitor sadness. You already understand its boundaries. So your nervous system relaxes inside it. It's heavy but stable. Happiness feels light but uncertain. And the brain often prefers certainty over comfort. The most powerful emotional memories are not the events themselves. They are the contrasts. A bad day that was always bad is easier to process than a good day that turned bad. Because contrast requires adjustment. Your brain remembers the moment the tone changed, the point where expectation broke. Maybe a conversation shifted unexpectedly. Maybe enthusiasm wasn't returned. Maybe closeness cooled without warning. The nervous system doesn't just remember the loss. It remembers how unprepared it felt. So later in life, when a positive emotion rises, your mind quietly prepares cushioning. You lower expectations early. You reduce excitement quickly. You soften attachment gradually. Not because the present demands it, because the past taught the impact of surprise. Sadness becomes padding. Emotional anticipation becomes prevention. Over time, repeated emotional states feel like personality. If your baseline has been reflective, subdued, or heavy for long enough, you don't experience it as a mood anymore. You experience it as yourself. Then when lighter emotions appear, they feel temporary. Not fake, temporary. And temporary emotions require explanation. So the mind questions them. Why do I feel good today? What changed? How long will this stay? The questioning interrupts the experience. The interruption lowers the emotion, and the system returns to baseline. This isn't self-sabotage. It's emotional familiarity maintenance. The brain prefers known emotional territory, even if it's not ideal. This pattern becomes clearest in relationships. When connection deepens, you feel warmth, but also caution. You limit how much you invest emotionally at once. You pace your reactions. You downplay excitement. You keep part of yourself slightly detached. You're not uninterested. You're regulating speed. Because strong attachment creates potential for strong loss. So you allow closeness gradually while holding emotional breaks. Sadness, in this context, isn't rejection of the relationship. It's emotional speed control. You approach connection carefully to avoid repeating past intensity. People often say, focus on the positive, but your mind already understands positivity. What it questions is stability. You don't resist good experiences logically. Your nervous system resists unpredictability. Until safety is experienced repeatedly, optimism feels like risk. So you maintain a softer emotional tone, not because life is meaningless, but because meaning once felt unstable. Sadness reduces expectation. Reduced expectation reduces shock. Your brain calls that balance. Change doesn't come from forcing happiness. It comes from tolerating small moments of okayness without predicting their end, not analyzing them, not protecting against them, simply letting a moment exist without defining its duration. At first, this feels unfamiliar, but unfamiliar doesn't mean unsafe. Over time, the mind learns a new association. Positive emotion does not automatically equal emotional collapse. And when that association weakens, emotional range widens naturally. Not dramatically, gradually. If sadness sometimes feels calmer than happiness, it doesn't mean you want pain. It means your mind learned to trust what didn't suddenly disappear. You adapted to emotional patterns that once required protection. An understanding that changes how you see yourself. If this video helped you understand something you couldn't explain before, consider supporting the channel. Like the video so it reaches others who feel the same but can put it into words. And subscribe to Psychora, where we explore the quiet patterns behind human behavior. You're not broken. You adapted. And sometimes understanding the pattern is the first step to changing it.